Hey man, it's been a while.
Vince, it has been a while. It's been a year. How you doing?
I would like to think though, even though it has been a year, we haven't just been, wasting our time. We've kind of undergone a training arc, I think, both of us, for this podcast specifically.
Yes, only. So why don't you tell the audience what I was doing and I'll tell them what you were doing. How about that?
Okay. Devon wandered further into the miasma that is economics. He delved into an economics honors degree, which I think will be very useful. It gives this podcast a little bit more authority, I think. Your opinions have more weight.
We needed the authority. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
And that's been fun. I'm a whole honors graduate now. I'm happy. It was quite difficult.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. It wasn't quite as difficult as working, obviously, but getting back into the groove of academics after a while was quite challenging, but I made some good friends, learned a lot, learned some things that would have been helpful when we started the podcast initially, but whatever, life's a lifelong learning journey. Jeepers, learning. Yeah. So you see, we're out of practice. And Vince, you were delving deeper into the world of marketing. You got your postgrad diploma in marketing, which honestly, did you need? You were probably you were the most knowledgeable in your class from the sounds of it when you were chatting about it to me.
What happened was in our first digital marketing lecture, they were like, "Oh, who's done digital marketing here?" And then I put my hand up, and then I told them my experience. And then the lecturer was like, "You know what, Vince? Why don't you take this course?" And
yeah, get up here, brother. Get up here.
But I think both of these things will come in handy just to give us a little bit more credence and credibility in what we're going to be chatting about. Also some format changes as well for what I'm coining Untold Wealth Season 2, which is that we're going to be, instead of both taking topics a week, it's just going to be one of us. So one person is going to be kind of an explainer, and the other person going to take on the role of the audience and react to a topic that they might not have an entire idea about. In this case, you're not too sure what I'm going to be chatting about today, right?
I we were discussing this before. I have a general gist, but I think you can take it in whatever direction you want. So, yeah, I have no idea, essentially.
I think it's going to be a good one. And before we hop in, one more thing that I think, we talked a little bit about what we've been up to, but what people really want to know, Devon, how's your dating life been?
Dating life has been... My girlfriend just walked in the room. It's been really bad. It's been terrible. She's giving me a side eye. No, it's been good. It's been stable for the better part of 5 years in the best way.
Okay.
Am I supposed to ask you the same question?
No. This is kind of just a segue to the topic of what we're going to be chatting about.
Sure.
Which I got inspired by when I saw Hinge's kind of slogan or tagline. Hinge, who is owned by Match Group, which also owns Tinder and Match.com and a bunch of other dating websites and apps, their slogan is designed to be deleted. Does that strike you as kind of paradoxical?
I mean, yeah, of course. But it sticks with you, so it could work.
It does stick with you. And it stuck with me so much that I've made the entire topic of this episode that paradox. Because apps like YouTube, Spotify, Tinder, they all need people to monetize their audience. And so the fact that they're kind of straddling this line of okay, we're an app that you intentionally want to delete by the end of your experience, but also means that we're losing out on potential profit, was super interesting to me. So that leads us to the thesis statement of this episode, which is, how much money does Tinder lose every time someone finds their perfect match.
Interesting.
Any predictions right off the bat? You have no information.
It's weird, and it's probably one of those things that it's tough to define in and of itself, because you don't know how many people come to the, like, for example, Hinge. I know we're talking about Tinder now, but for example, Hinge, its main attraction is that it gives security to people who are first-time daters, and you hit it off, because both of them have the implication that they're deleting this app after you've hit it off. Most of the times with Tinder, people keep them, and sometimes you've heard the stories about them like scrolling on dates and stuff, and it looks terrible. So like that could get Hinge more people than the revenue it loses. And also, Hinge knows that people will just re-download later on if they, or resubscribe to whatever package they have. If things, if things went badly. But anyway,
it's a profitable business, absolutely. But if you had to put a dollar amount to it, what would you? Say?
And yours was Tinder, correct? How much does Tinder lose for every person?
We can. I have figures for a couple of dating sites. So if you want to kind of do the parent group match group or just Tinder specifically, you can.
And this is not just like one person. This is all people in a year. Is that the question?
This is one person.
Everyone who uninstalls their app, they lose $5. $5 per person. I don't know if that's anywhere in the ballpark. Yeah.
He's locking it in. And dear audience, please also place your guesses now. But before we answer that question, I wanted to chat about the economics behind dating apps. Firstly, a shout out to the Monday Economist, who was an incredible source for this portion of the podcast. I've subscribed to their newsletter and encourage our listeners to do so as well if you're interested in topics like this. But yeah, I mean, with an honors degree, you're obviously familiar with the classic supply and demand graph.
No, what are you talking about? Cold sweats, fraudulent.
Well, in that case, supply and demand meet at a price and quantity where buyers and sellers are both happy, or at least willing to exchange. But the market of dating apps is slightly different. They're more what economists like Elvin Roth call matching markets. Have you heard of those?
I haven't heard the term matching markets, but I've heard the phrase two-sided markets and multi-sided markets.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
I think those sound a little bit more complicated because while a typical business operates on standard supply and demand principles, like a coffee shop who doesn't really care who's buying the coffee, matching markets are a little different in that they care about the preferences and the characteristics of those who participate. Easiest example of a matching market is the labor market. Google is not going to hire just anybody. They have preferences for your education, your experience, etc., above and beyond just putting someone's butt in a seat at their head office.
Mm-hmm.
And so dating apps like Tinder, Hinge, Bumble, they all operate as a matching market. So instead of price, people are instead worried about how someone looks, whether they're compatible, and hundreds of other different preferences while they're swiping left and right. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I never thought of it like that way. But yeah, matching market. I've added something to the lexicon today.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know about them as well, but they make a lot of sense when you think about it. And in a matching market, you kind of want as many people participating as possible. The bigger the matching market, the more likely that the participants within it will find others who match their specific preferences.
And do you know what economists call that, by the way?
What they call
that phenomenon. Yes.
Well, I think I might. Are they called thick markets?
No, they're called I mean, you would have come across this term. They're called network effects. Yeah, it's like there's two types of it. There's a network effect, where the more people that join, the less people want to join. I'm not too sure what that's called, but the one where the more people join, the greater the snowball comes, the snowball effect, is called a bandwagon. People join the bandwagon. Yeah. So these are positive externalities called network effects. Yeah.
So the more people are joining, the more people want to join. That's one of those
the more
network
people
effects.
want to join. And then you can, and then businesses can kind of add fuel to this fire until they reach what is called a threshold level, whereby if one more person joins, then it starts the snowball. And that's called your, I can't remember what it's called now. But yeah, very interesting stuff. Yeah, that's network externalities. Big in economics.
Very interesting.
Learned that this year. Yeah.
It's already paying off. But economists call markets that have lots of participants thick markets. Or at least that's what Alvin Roth called them.
I hate that. I just hate that phrase. Sorry. That's just a bad... Yeah, it doesn't sound right, but continue.
Dating apps love thick markets. What can I say? No, they do love... Tinder, for example, has the largest number of participants of any dating app, numbering around 75 million active users. And you would think with such a large pool of participants, people would be pretty satisfied with the app because there's a high likelihood they'll be able to find their preferences, right? That makes intuitive sense. But unfortunately, behavioral economic factors create problems in very large matching markets on Tinder. When presented with a seemingly unlimited number of options, people tend to become paralyzed with choice. They may match with someone that fits their preferences, but then keep searching for someone else who might be marginally better. They may also be concerned that their match is a little bit too perfect and is actually trying to catfish them or deceive them somehow. But this is where Match Group, again the parent company that owns Tinder and Hinge, steps in and offers solutions at a price. If you accidentally swipe left on the potential love of your life, you can subscribe to Tinder Plus for unlimited rewinds. Or if you want to filter the matching market down to only the people who also love table tennis, Hinge X lets you get better match recommendations.
That's wild to me. I didn't know there was a filtering feature on these apps. I just always assumed you got more swipes or super swipes or whatever. Filtering makes a lot of sense. I don't know. I didn't think that would be a thing.
Yeah, I think I'm not too sure if it's as prevalent on Tinder, but I know for like Hinge and maybe Bumble as well, it's pretty... You can kind of pare down your potential matches to maybe a specific interest or maybe a specific kind of value that you share, whether it be like religion or like political leaning or whatever. But it's fairly successful because as a result, Match Group recently reported in 2023 a revenue of $3.6 billion from their dating app portfolio of companies.
Okay.
An increase of 6% from last year. So they're on the up and up, as it were. But let's say you kind of manage to break through the overwhelming matching market and find the love of your life. Maybe paying for a few of the premium features to do so. When you and your partner find love, how much do you think it costs Tinder on their balance sheet to lose both of you? You said, I think it was $8?
$5. I was just
$5.
$5. Because I'm trying to think of like what you pay for some kind of membership, I suppose. But then you also have to factor in them losing a customer and a potential match for other people who might be on it, and they're also just losing a user. And you want more users on the site. So I'm thinking like $5. I have no idea what a subscription goes for on Tinder or Hinge or whatever. Let's just go for that. That's where that came from. I think that sounds reasonable-ish to me.
Okay, so you're not gonna change your answer last time. You're sticking to your guns.
Are you Monty Halling me, bro? You can't Monty Hall me, dude. It's not fair. You can't be doing that. Yeah, locked in, bro. Shut up, Monty.
Okay.
Yeah, $5.
So I took a look at their financial statements. By the way, Match Group has the most dry and boring financial statements that I've I've ever gone through.
What did you expect them to be? Were
I
they like,
don't know.
ooh, we really increased satisfaction for our consumers?
No.
Like, what did you...
I just mean visually and aesthetically. Because other companies like Spur, for example, is the closest thing that I can think of. They have some visual elements, Woolworths as well. But it's literally just text on a document, and that's it. So
they're just chill guys.
I don't know,
Dude. That's what they put. They're numbers guys.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they're not, spending too much on making it look a little bit nicer, which fair enough to them. But kind of digging through the financial statement, they have a figure in their statements called ARPU, or average revenue per user. So I've used that figure as kind of I guess, what people would, or what they would lose out on.
Yeah, what they'd gain, yeah.
Or lose if someone left.
Exactly, yeah.
So if you and your potential partner both stopped using these apps forever, which is a fairly big assumption, Match Group would lose out on, drumroll, $34.
34? No.
$17 per user.
So it's you and your partner stopped. Okay, I see. Okay, I didn't get that part. So I would have been $5 or $10, but still way off. Yeah. Oh my goodness. But it's obviously being, and you'll probably bring this up, but there's whales that go on these apps, yes. And they splurge, and that drags up the average. But as you said, that is the average amount. That's crazy. 34.
Yeah, it's $17 per user as of 2023. It's quite interesting. It slightly depends on not only the app, but the region that you live in. Mm-hmm. So, for example, the APRU for Tinder is around $22 as of 2022, and for Hinge, it's around $10 as well. But as you said, not everyone's paying for these premium subscription features. In fact, out of that $75 million or million active users, only 10 million are subscribers.
Yeah.
And it's quite interesting that if you kind of take those 10 million and assume the 6 other dating companies that Match Group owns also have maybe about 10 million users collectively, and you times that by the $17 figure, you actually get kind of close to 3.6 billion. That was the first calculation that I did. So it could be coincidental, but it seems kind of close. So I'm just going to go with that.
Mm-hmm. He's a financial auditor. Look at this guy. It's all adding up, you guys. Your story's aligning.
Not just a marketing degree, Andy. But as you also said, there are these whales that also make up a lot. They kind of pull the average up. In fact, Tinder has a fairly large, their peak subscription, I think, is around between $300 and $5, and it's specifically meant for the 1% of users. And if I could have the episode, if I could redo this episode, I would love to chat with one of those people and just kind of gauge what they use the app for, because it's a big investment to do that with the kind of end goal that you're, trying to find a person and then stop using the app. It's still, that paradox is a little bit confusing to me. So I'd love to have a conversation. If one of our listeners is such a person, please message us on untoldwealthbusiness@gmail.com.
Now, do you think they're hot or not? That person.
Are they attractive?
Yes.
That's a great question. Yes.
Think they're hot. I was thinking they're hot too. I think they're there. They know what they're there for. You know what I'm saying? They're not deleting the app. That's what I'm thinking.
I guess I had pigeonholed myself into you get the app and then you delete it eventually, but that's also a fair point. Some people just use it to meet new people consistently. So maybe in that case it's just kind of a good app to do so. But yeah, $17 per user. My kind of key takeaways from this entire thing is that these dating apps, Match Group, they got a good thing going on, or at least it seems like it. Especially with the fact that like there's a lot of behavioral economics factors that I could have chatted more about, but didn't want to drag the episode on too long, that they kind of just leverage and take advantage of, that they don't necessarily even have to make more inefficient or complicate further. Like, just the fact that there's a million people is enough where people are trying to look for someone better. And it kind of falls into that diminishing marginal utility where, you know, you find something, but could you find something a little bit better? Probably not. But the kind of economics of dating as a whole are pretty fascinating. We didn't even get to speak about how Tinder has 4 guys to every girl in the market, and the unique dynamics that offer.
The unique dynamics it offers is that women have like 5 to 6 times as many matches than men do. All right, it's like wild. At least that's what I've heard.
It is very wild. I have a friend who uses Hinge, and she was recently telling me about how she just has like 60 matches on the go most of the times that she opens the app, which is pretty intense. But yeah, when you look at it from the perspective of like, okay, yeah, the guys outnumber the girls 4-1, it kind of does make sense. Dating companies, they're kind of balancing this fine line between providing these success stories and getting that bandwagon effect where people see like, oh, found the love of your life on Tinder, let me join. But also trying to keep their matching market as thick as possible.
Yeah, that is a balancing act that I didn't consider as well. Yeah, they wanna tout the successes, but they don't wanna make. Yeah, there's a perverse incentive there. They don't want to make that success happen too quickly. You're losing out on revenue. Yeah, interesting.
Exactly.
I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, I have some stuff I want to just chat about broadly with regards to these type of markets. Is there anything you want to add before I do that? No.
I had an inspirational thing here where I was going to tell the listeners that online dating is hard. That it's easy to think that your perfect match is just one swipe away. But even if you got a few matches already, just get off the hedonic treadmill and go on the date. That was my little ending piece there.
There we go. Get off the hedonic treadmill, says Vince. Just go on a date. I like that. But all right, cool. I enjoyed that. Thank you so much for that, Vince. And I just wanted to chat. I mean, I've learned about these markets. I had a course this last year, my word, called Digital Economics. Essentially, it explored digital platforms and markets and kind of chatted about their sustainability, network effects, and then a lot of the time there are antitrust cases and competition cases fought by governments against these platforms because they hold so much power and in some cases monopoly power, and it gets really sticky when legal practice gets involved. But in general, these businesses are called platforms. All right, and I heard platforms before this course, and I was like, I don't know what a platform is, but I didn't quite get it. A platform is just someone who sits between two markets. Okay, what is a market? We can use a simple example. There is a dating cafe. All right, the example we used in our course was a dating cafe in Osaka. All right, and they have the problem that they are only getting they're a dating cafe, but only males are coming. That is a very prevalent phenomenon in any dating market, and you just told us
it's very topical.
Same with Tinder as well. And they have to use pricing strategies and different ways of penetrating markets to enable girls to come, for women to come. And then there's these cross-group network effects, which the women come, more men come, and then it's kind of the snowball effect we were talking about to get to this critical mass, and it's wildly successful. And that is exactly what they have to do. So if you go to any nightclub, a nightclub is the same thing. They will charge men more and charge women less. So they will subsidize women by charging men, and that's how a lot of these platforms work. It's like they're just these middlemen, all right? And often at times, if a platform wants to enter a market with another platform, they will take a hit to their own bank account. Like they will over-subsidize one side, they will, and it's called integrating. You partially integrate at first, and then you fully integrate at some point later. So like like Tinder now, I'm sure at the beginning, they probably subsidized quite heavily women joining their app. They probably had larger membership prices for men and lower membership prices for women. But when they get so big, they can fully disintegrate. They don't even need to do that anymore because Tinder is now the place. The women will be there and the men will be there. They don't need to charge a different price to both sides. Yeah. And I think that's really cool. It's called a two-sided market.
Two-sided market?
Yeah.
That is very interesting.
Yeah. And there's also multi-sided markets. Google, for example, is a multi-sided, they're not the market, but Google is a platform in the middle of a multi-sided market between publishers of online content, advertisers, and users who peruse the content. And they play this crucial middle ground, and that's kind of why Google has so much power, is because they charge the advertisers, they want to make the publishers feel seen, and they want to make a good user experience. And often they have, because they're so big now, they used to have a very good reason to give people the best links. Like, give a user the best link, it helps the publisher. If the advertiser is happy, then they are happy. Like, they have no real choice in that. Now, they can push advertisers who are paying them money, even though they might not necessarily be the best keyword link to what the user was searching on their Google search bar. And there's been antitrust cases because Google has been abusing this power. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Now
with
we're getting
platforms.
into my territory a little bit.
Yeah, with your SEO knowledge, exactly.
But you're absolutely right, because like when you're creating pages for sites, the intent for keywords is like a big factor. Whether people are looking for like information or commercial, or like whether they're trying to transact with like a service, like Google has to accommodate all sorts of different search intents along with it. But quite interestingly, when I see a sponsored link on top of Google, it almost like makes me, I don't trust it. I've never clicked on a sponsored link on Google. I don't know if you have.
Yeah.
But like it almost seems like a bad investment because people are so skeptical about sponsored stuff.
I mean, I've clicked on them before, and more often than not, I'm disappointed. Yeah, I agree. But sometimes it's there. It's at the top left. They know what they're doing. It's like, it's inertia for me to click on the top left link on Google, and they know it. They put it there, and it's like, we're Zoomers. We're pretty good at sniffing out an ad or two. We know something looks different. We're like, it's a little underlined. Oh, it's like it's in your face a bit too much. That must be an ad. We scroll a little bit, but even still, it catches you. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, that was my tangent about multi-sided markets.
No, I think matching markets, two-sided markets, like
it's the same.
They're
not the same thing.
It is.
But this two-sided market happens to be a matching market. I don't know if maybe all two-sided markets are matching markets. I've never heard the phrase before. Maybe learned it now, but it could be. Thick markets. That's a new one, though. Thick markets. That doesn't sit right with me.
I mean, it's a great takeaway. But yeah, that's been Untold Wealth Season 2. We're glad to be back. Glad to, bring a bit more of I don't know. It feels nice. But I hope that you also have enjoyed this episode. We'll see you next week for a topic that Devon will be chatting about that I'm not too familiar with, but I'll be excited to learn along with you. Anything else before we sign off?
Nope. It was fun. And we'll see you next time.
All right. Bye-bye.